It's the full moon in Libra with a square to Pluto. So just at the moment where you were sure what you wanted, the goal was there, the prize is there, an obstacle or distraction comes out of left field. What should you do about it? That's what we're going to talk about. Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, here to talk to you about the full moon. It's on April 16th and it is at 26 degrees of Libra. Now, your astrology chart is a picture of the transits at the moment you were born. So the transits are that the planets are in motion all of the time. And then at the time you were born, we took a snapshot of that, and that is your natal chart. But the transits keep moving and they move at a regular cycle. And so this is what gives us the ability to predict. Now, you can kind of look at your chart with the transits as a GPS. And so it is this thing that is constantly shifting and changing. However, you in your vehicle remains the same. And so you're the one who gets the choices of whether to heed the warnings ahead and change directions, or perhaps it says you have smooth sailing ahead and so you hit the gas and you go forward. This is what astrology is used for. We use your natal chart in conjunction with the transits so that you can have smooth sailing in your life. Now, when I say smooth sailing, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be without the occasional bouts of traffic, that there's an accident ahead and so everybody stop, there's construction going on. These are growth periods. And when you lean in and you work at the different things that the universe is throwing at you with a growth mindset, you can do amazing things and you end up becoming very happy, because you have worked for something. But if you are expecting the smooth sailing to be without incident, then you're going to find that you really focus on all of the distraction and obstacles in the way. And this can make life very unhappy. So in these videos, I'm just giving an overview in general of what's going on. Of course, I don't have your particular chart in front of me. If you want a copy of your chart, just let me know. There's a link to my website in the description. And while you're there, sign up for my newsletter. And as we get started, I just wanted to let you know that we are doing tropical Western astrology. So let's take a look at this chart. The full moon in Libra is just past that inconjunct with Jupiter and Neptune, and now it's moving on a square to Pluto. And so what this means is that you're coming out of a period where maybe your mind had expanded and that you were thinking of new ways of doing things, like the universe was downloading information in and you're trying to sort it out because there is inspiration here, but also, like you're being pushed to do new things and find new ways of doing things. And just at the very moment where you say, okay, I got it, I know what I want to do, suddenly there's a square to Pluto, and it is this obstacle or distraction that is coming out of left field. And so kind of picture this as, in the movie, you're the hero and you see this prize up ahead, the thing that you want, and then now a monster is coming out of left field and you have to deal with the monster. You can't just say, oh, wait 1 moment. I have to go get this pile of gold. You have to deal with the obstacle first. So in this 2-week period, there is going to be something that you are looking for, some progress you can make, some obstacle that's in your way, and you need to remember, 1, that you're up for the challenge, that you can do this, but 2, that once this obstacle is out of the way, you can continue to make forward progress. So don't let the thing that comes out of left field distract you to the point of throwing you off completely. At the same time, Mercury is making a conjunction with Uranus, and this is going to bring you inspired ideas. And that is different ways of handling things like obstacles, but also different routes or paths you can take. So that is that if your GPS does show traffic ahead, you can get off the freeway and take a different route. And then we are in that separating process of Neptune and Jupiter. They are now pulling apart. They were conjunct conjunct on April 12th. And so now you are faced with two possibilities, two roads ahead for the long term. And this we're talking about weeks, months, or years. And that is that you can take this inspired route, something that you feel in your heart would be great for you and your family, something that would lift you up or lift up the community. Or you can go down that rabbit hole of, news and sensation and, like whatever is distracting at the moment. And you can get into those sort of spirals. And so this is where you're finding how to focus on what it is that you want when there is such a myriad of possibilities. And because that's what Jupiter and Neptune are doing. They are opening up so many different possibilities for you, so many different routes. But when you are faced with many, many, many doors, you have to close a few doors and choose, well, probably only one door at a time. I don't know anybody who can go through two doors at a time. So one door at a time to at least test if that's the direction you want to go. And while Neptune and Jupiter can be this beautiful collage of pretty colors and swirling lights and just mesmerizing, the bottom line is that you need to be learning about yourself and encouraging the parts of you that you want to strengthen. As you work hard to make yourself a better person, make yourself a better partner in your relationship, a better member of the community, you actually get happier and the universe brings you more and more opportunities. But if you are just looking for how to cruise, how to fly under the radar, how to not have any sort of bumps or jostles in your life, you can find that you get quite unhappy and dissatisfied with how things are going. So it is that when in motion, when you are moving towards the bigger goal, that's when wonderful things can happen. But if you try to stay still and say, I don't want anything to change, or, why can't I have peace? Why can't I have joy? That's when things you really focus on what's negative. And from that mindset, you don't see the opportunities that are there right in front of you. And then just this little reminder that there are no retrograde planets until April 29th. So again, this is a good time to be moving forward, especially if you are making a big purchase, changing jobs, or if you are moving, getting a new computer, any of those sort of things where Mercury retrograde can really cause some problems. This is that period where not only Mercury is not retrograde, but nothing is retrograde. And so you want to move forward. And by the way, I do readings if you are interested in delving really deeply into your chart. I also have written some books, and I write monthly and weekly columns for astrology.com and horoscope.com. And I also have a newsletter, and so I would encourage you to go to my website and sign up for that. I'm going to be putting some really interesting things in there in the near future. Okay, let's go sign by sign. Okay, Aries, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of relationships, and it's making a square to Pluto in your house of career. So the goal here is about creating a better, deeper connections with others. And that is not just your partner, but also your friends, potential mentors, collaborators, influencers, new friends that come into your life. Basically, everyone who comes into your life is coming in through that seventh house, but it's making that square to Pluto. And so the distraction is that maybe there's some instability in your career. Maybe there is something where that you feel like you need to push harder on your career, and so you have to push relationships aside. Maybe you have to say no to social events because you have to go to more business events. But because of this square, you do have to deal with some of this career stuff, but with the mindset of, I'm going to take care of this at the moment so that I can go do the bigger goal. And so that is, if your whole goal has been career and you've been neglecting relationships, this is asking you to put relationships back on the list. But more accurately, not more accurately, This is accurate. But what's more important right now is to put your focus on relationships, but to keep in mind that when career distractions come up, deal with them quickly and then move on. So when it comes to your relationships, specifically love relationships, the sun's making a sextile to Mars, and so there are some major opportunities. Now, the interesting part of this is that this is your own sun, like I should have said happy birthday. So I hope you're having a great birthday. But this is that Mars is hidden in your 12th house, and that does mean that when it comes to new love, you are maybe having a little trouble finding each other, and so you have to take the initiative, and fortunately you're Aries, and so you're very, very good at that, and that means that you need to make the first call, or the second call, or even the third call. You have to do something, and then the opportunity arises. It also can make you feel like there's nobody there for you because they are hidden from you, but the moment you say, nope, I know there's somebody out there for me, then you start to see, people appearing in front of you, either to help you find that person or they are the person themselves. Now, when it comes to your existing relationships, this is where you're needing to do the work. Venus is not making an aspect with Mars, and so it is more effort. Boy, I'm really tongue-tied today, sorry. This is showing that you really do need effort, and that those distractions coming in from career are going to be really tempting. So it is necessary right now that you do push forward, and that is that you try to connect with your partner, whoever is that existing love relationship for you on that deeper level. But it's going to be really a challenge. So if you were looking for where you had to work at something, this is going to be it. Because there's no aspect, you may not receive the reassurances, or even a thank you from the person, at least during this 2-week period. But this energy will line up in the future. Now, when it comes to home and family, the moon is doing a trine to Mars, so we do have some very nice energy that's happening. It does look like everybody in the family's kind of in their own little world, but everybody seems to be at home. And so it's like you're all, like watching your favorite shows, but maybe you're in different rooms. Maybe, though, you can come together for some sort of event, social thing, or just come together for breakfast. And by doing that, you're going to feel closer together. But it is that while you might feel like you're not so united at the moment, you have the potential to be if you need people to come together. Now, when it comes to your money, you have some interesting energy coming on here because Mercury is conjunct Uranus in that second house. And so there is a bunch of new innovative ideas that could be downloaded into your brain at any moment. And so you may suddenly have an inspired thought, and you want to take those notes down, make sure that you save those, because you may not be able to take action at them at the moment. Now, the other part of this is that you're pulling energy from that Venus in Pisces in the 12th house, and that does mean that it does kind of feel sort of wibbly wobbly, like you can't really get a hold of it. And so this is more things that are in concept, and like you have this idea, and then people will say, well, how's that going to make you any money? So, and that part of the whole equation hasn't formulated yet. And so these different ideas, they're fine. It's not necessarily the case that you need to jump right in. In fact, for your money, what would be better is to open yourself up to the ideas of the universe, but also do some prayer, meditation, feng shui, magic, that sort of thing to activate your money, because that's where, if you open yourself up to the abundance of the universe, you can do quite well. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or business income, Venus is making a semi-square to Pluto. That is a hard work aspect where if you do the thing that is outside your comfort zone, if you go against the thing that is blocking you and really push at it, you can make some great progress. And so that is that you might have to sit down and do some sort of complicated investment strategy where you have to, really look at the details as you get into it. Or maybe it's the same with your business, that you are building out your website or doing something that is more technical. The Venus here also, though, in the 12th house in Pisces actually is less about the technical and a little bit more about the concepts of it. So maybe you're looking at your marketing and rewriting it, redoing it. But from that more conceptual phase. So one, you have an aspect that's lovely. So you can make more money than usual, but that money comes through hard work. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, Venus is making a sextile to Uranus. Yes, I had to check. So yes, it's making a sextile to Uranus. And so, with a sextile, if you take the initial action, then wonderful things can happen. And so that is that you ask for the raise or ask for the promotion, you have a real opportunity of getting it. Now, the thing that is holding you back is you have a full 12th house, and so you're not that visible. That might mean that you're working at home. Maybe you're not putting your screen on when you're doing meetings by Zoom. It's time to have your face visible, make sure your name is on the Zoom thing and all that, so that that the boss remembers that you're there. And that sort of action can help move this whole conversation forward on getting you more money. And then when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or they're highly leveraged or time sensitive, Venus is making a semi-square to the sun. So we're back to that semi-square energy, and that means hard work. So you have to learn the first principles of this investment that you're considering before you jump in. Instead of just, listening to somebody on TikTok say that it's a good thing to buy it, really understand why this investment could get better. And then also, this might be writing your business plan or going through the due diligence for buying a company, or this is you leaning in and finishing your script so that you can send it off to an agent or script reader or one of those script writing contests. Okay, Taurus, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of work, routines, health, your basically your daily life, and it's making a square to Pluto up in that 9th house of rules and people's philosophy or their beliefs. And so you may have this great desire to have a daily life that is mindful and peaceful, maybe has a really low carbon footprint. Maybe you are doing a low buy month, or you've gone vegan. You're doing something that is really for your health and well-being. And your distraction, your monster is that other people have a lot of rules about how to do this, or they have very strong opinions about whether you should be doing it at all, whether it's going to make a difference in your life or in the world. And so that is the distraction, that as you look for the information on how to do the lifestyle you're looking for, you also run into people's opinions and whatever restrictions they have put on themselves or are trying to put on you as you do these things. And so you have to look at these distractions and basically, which boils down to people's rules, and say, is this right for me? Is this right for the situation that I'm in? So, and make the adjustments so that you can go on towards your mindful, peaceful daily life. When it comes to relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is making a sextile to Venus, and so there is some real opportunities here. Mercury is in your sign, Venus is in your house of friendships, and so that would be the place to start, is to first think about your friends and either who you might be attracted to or who could introduce you to one of their friends and open up some possibilities for you. This also might be a time where you can be more social, and so that means that you need to take the initiative to get out into the world. Again, with a sextile, you always want to take the first action, and then good things can happen. Now, when it comes to your existing love relationship, Venus is making a semi-square to Pluto, and that means that there's going to be some work necessary to get things either smoothed out from something that was bumpy in the recent past, or that you just need to do some work on this relationship so that you make your foundation stronger. And so this is that there is, because the Venus is up in that house of friendships, maybe you're spending so much time with friends or on social events or maybe even the community activism or things like that, that you're not home very much and connecting with your partner. And it's also possible, though, that it's just time to be friends again, to share a hobby, to find some activities that you can do together. When it comes to home and family, the sun is making a semi-square to your Venus, and so that means that, again, we've got this hard work aspect where there is some friction going on at home, and it's possible that it is because everybody is scattered to the winds and going out in different directions. Maybe some people are being more bold than you want them to be, mingling with people, now that and nobody seems to be wearing masks anymore or social distancing. And maybe that's not an issue in your area. Maybe it's just that you wish that they were home more. But there is some sort of friction going on, and it does seem to be centered around friendship. So maybe your kids are bringing home other kids that you're not thrilled about, you don't think are a good influence. So looking at that, it's going to take some work to sit down and have conversations with these different individuals to pull everybody together. And then it also could be that you're just working on the home and trying to get things, maybe spring cleaning done or trying to declutter. And you're just shifting things in the home, and that's the thing that's causing the friction. That's probably a good way to use that energy. So if you want to have less contention, then just get into the basement and clean that out. When it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mercury in your own sign of Taurus. And so that means if you put your name on something, you're more likely to get the attention necessary to bring you the funds. And so this is about looking at something where you can say, I'm in charge, I'll lead the team, I'm going to move forward on a project I've been procrastinating on. It is about you stepping up and taking some sort of action for this thing that you want to do to create more money, even if that means just you sitting down and writing a budget. I just said standing up and sitting down. I guess I want you to do two things at once. When it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Mercury is making a semi-square to Jupiter. And so this semi-square energy does mean that things are not that smooth, that you can make more money, but you have to go through a bumpy road, which means that things are just not going to go as easily as they normally do. And that is that, you try to film a video and you do it with the wrong glasses on. Which I did at the beginning of this video, or you spill coffee on your blouse just as you're getting on to your Zoom meeting. It's just going to be a little bit rocky, but you do have the potential, if you push through this, of making more money than usual. And when it comes to money derived from career, even though you're doing the same aspect with different planets, Mercury is making a semi-square to Neptune, you do have Mars, Venus, Neptune, and Jupiter in that house. And so that is, you may have to work a little bit to get that meeting with the boss to get your raise, but you have the potential of a really good outcome. So it's worth it. You may get some pushback from the boss on, that, we want you to come into the office, or we can't put you in the office right now. Or you have to take on a bigger project, or you have to speak more at the meetings, or you can't wear superhero t-shirts to the meetings anymore. Whatever it is, there's going to be some sort of pushback or friction, but you can work out something. So this is still quite a good time for you to be asking for a raise, additional hours, or to add to your team, or some other benefits at your job. And finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, kind of like, writing a screenplay, or things that are highly leveraged or time sensitive, like options trading. Mercury is in a wonderful place, making a conjunction to Uranus. So Mercury's in your sign, making a conjunction to Uranus, and it says success comes when you look at innovative ideas and do things differently. And so you have to break out a little bit of your routine, but Uranus has been in Taurus for a while to help you with that. So you are probably going to receive some information or some new idea, and this could take you in a new direction. Now, you still need to do your due diligence. You still need to really check out things before you put your money on the line. But you do have an opportunity to stumble upon something that it could be really lucrative in the future. Okay, Gemini, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of children, creativity, and fun, as well as adventure. And it's making a square to Pluto in your house of resources from others. And so this is where you really wanted to do something for your kids, maybe around their education, maybe around getting them started and, out of the nest in a good, solid way, or you're working on some creative projects and you feel distracted because you may not feel like you have the resources that you need, or that somebody has promised you some resources and now they seem to be hesitating. And so that's the thing that needs your attention at the moment, is to either secure the resources you need, figure out how you can do what you want to do without those resources, or connect with the person who's promised you the thing and see if they were going to come through, or find a different person to get you the resources that you need. I know that was a long list, sorry. But you deal with that, and then opportunities to have what it is you want for your children, or where you want your creative project to go, that can start to happen. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, this is some pretty good energy because, first of all, you have the full moon there. So that is lighting up this house. So super opportunities. Plus, Mercury is making a sextile to Venus. So that is, if you will take some sort of step forward, if you will, get online and start chatting with people, if you will suggest the first date, if you will go to places where you can meet new people, you have a really good opportunity to meet someone. Plus, you are highly noticeable at this moment because Mars and Venus, along with Neptune and Jupiter, are elevated in your chart. So you are seen by others. They are seeing you as charismatic, that you are charming and attractive. And so you can attract more people to you. And then in and amongst those people, you can find this person that you've been looking for. Now, when it comes to your existing love relationships, Mercury is making a semi-square to Jupiter, and this means that there is a myriad of minor irritations that are driving you a little bit crazy with each other. And this is a little bit more problematic because it is the small things that can really drive wedges in relationship. And so it's necessary for you to kind of, not feel every bump, but kind of rise above, so that the bumpy road that you're dealing with, the fact that you don't like the way they chew, or that they leave socks on the floor, or they don't take out the trash. You have to find a different way of dealing with these things. And that's not necessarily to let them off the hook so much, but maybe there are some reasons that they're not seeing that the trash needs to be taken out, or that maybe there's an easier way to get the trash taken out. It needs some thoughtfulness, some effort, and then you're going to find that you can come together in a happier way. But in general, it's going to be a little bumpy. When it comes to home and family, Mercury is making a conjunction to Uranus, which means that there is some sort of change, and that change is a bit of a surprise. And so there may be something that is happening that surprise. I was going to say that you didn't expect, but what else is a surprise? So this might mean that one of your kids says that they're moving in, or maybe somebody says they're moving out. Maybe your landlord is saying that there's some changes going to be happening with your residence. Like, something could happen in a very sudden manner that does do a material change. Now, it can help if you use up the energy by you making some changes on the house, and that could be that you're doing some renovations, redecorating, moving the furniture around. All of this can help dissipate some of that change energy. When it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that moon, that full moon, in your house of risk-taking, fun, adventure, and it's making that square to Pluto in that area of resources. And so this is where you may be getting a lot of great ideas for, products that you can create or businesses you want to start, but you are feeling held back by a lack of resources. And so this is where creative thinking can come in, and this is where the moon is lighting up that house of creativity. And so it is time to do some brainstorming. And as you do, not only will you find that you get many ideas, but you will also find different resources to help you do the things in a more conventional fashion. So it is just a matter of sitting down and doing some brainstorming yourself with the universe to get some ideas about how to make something happen when you may not have the resources to do it. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, the moon's making a trine to Saturn. So there is a likelihood that you could make more money over the next 2 weeks than usual. And that is that there's going to be opportunities there, and they're just ripe for the taking. Now, the energy with a trine is interesting because it is quite easy energy, but if you make even the smallest amount of effort, you could double or triple what it is that you're getting. So consider that, yes, if you're just moseying along, you have opportunities to make more than usual. However, if you put the effort in, you could have quite the windfall. Now, when it comes to income derived from your career, the moon's making a trine to Mars. So you're doing another trine. Plus, you have this incredible house of career right now with Mars, Venus, Neptune, and Jupiter up there. They're elevated, and so it's very easy to get a new job, negotiate for a better salary, or to ask for more money where you are. So, in fact, with a trine, it's possible that they will approach you and say, we've been thinking about getting you a raise. And then you do the effort of saying, yes, thank you for this small amount, but I would like more. And it's quite possible you could get it at this time. So this is a real opportunity for you to gain more money by you keeping your eyes open to opportunities and then just asking. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or things that are quite time sensitive or highly leveraged, the moon is making a sesquiquadrate to Venus. And this, as you know, if you've listened to this channel, is not an easy aspect. It is kind of like, trying to throw a javelin into a bullseye when you're not a javelin thrower. And so, there's a little bit of luck here when something does happen. It's like the crowd goes wild. But it would be a really, really good idea to have many, many javelins to throw. And so if you're trying to do something that is, like where you have too much of your assets in one investment, that can be very risky. That's risky in general, and it's more risky now. This is a good time to take a very, very small bets, and that would be, like lottery ticket size bets, $2 at a time. Like taking small bets is the way to throw that javelin to see if it hits the bullseye. I don't know why I'm obsessed with javelins at the moment. But you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket because this is too difficult an aspect for that. Okay, Cancer, this full moon is lighting up your house of home and family, and it's getting the square from Pluto in your house of relationships. So the goal, the thing that you're looking for, is a more peaceful home, or that you find a home, or that you feel more at home when you're there. And the obstacle or distraction is that someone else who either lives in that home or maybe someone you want to live with, but there is some person who seems to be causing the disruption. And so because this is a square, you have to deal with that person first. And this is Pluto, so we're transforming this relationship. We are finding out what the truth is, what the the bottom line is about whatever issue it is that they have, figuring out what they want, figuring out what you want, and then finding that bridge and doing that as quickly as possible so that you can really have the lovely home and family situation that you want. Now, this might mean, as I said, that somebody lives in the home, but this could be you negotiating with a new landlord or trying to buy a home. Maybe this is you talking to inspectors or builders. So there is something going on where you first have to deal with someone else, and then the reward is coming in the home and family area. Now, when it comes to relationships, specifically new love, it is that same aspect. It's that moon square Pluto. And so there is some sort of contention going on, some sort of activity that needs to happen. And that means the more action you take, the more likely you are to get your goal. So that means that right now you have a very strong opportunity to meet someone new, but you have to take action about it. And this is action at every step of the way. So that might mean that you reach out to this person and say that you like their profile. Then you email them and say, thank you for responding to what I just said. And then you suggest the date, you move the thing forward, and that's what brings you the opportunities. And the same thing goes if you are meeting this person out in the world, that you are the one to start up the conversation. Don't be a wallflower in this case. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the energy is quite good because the moon's making a trine to Saturn. And this means that you have something perhaps that you're working on together and it's just clicking. You know, that maybe you're working on your communication, maybe you are figuring out your schedule so you can spend more time together. Maybe you're building a piece of IKEA furniture together, but something is happening where the two of you are coming together, bringing both your different levels of expertise and your experience, and things are really working. Now, when it comes to home and family, that's been, of course, the main topic. When we look at the aspects, the moon is making a sesquiquadrate to Venus. So again, we have this kind of energy of something's going on at home that is disruptive, that is like things feel like they're unstable, that it's a rocky time. And through extreme effort, through really focusing your effort, that sesquiquadrate hits the win. So with sesquiquadrate, which is, it's kind of this combination of a semi-square, which is very irritating, and a square, which requires action. And so you do have to step outside your comfort zone to make this work. But of course, when you do, you know, it's like lights and music, and you win the teddy bear, etc. So it's good to try. So, but understand, it's a long shot to make things work in the area of home and family right now. But you have to, because that's where the full moon is. That's where you're getting this square from Pluto towards. So you have to work on it. And when you do, that's where you can get success. But to really achieve the big prize, that's going to take, you know, really some effort. When it comes to your money, you are pulling money from the sun in the 10th house, which is your house of career and reputation, and it's moving towards your house of money derived from career. So really excellent placement for making money through your business or your career. Now, this sun is going to make that square to Saturn, square to Pluto. Got to get my planets straight there. So this sun's going to make a square to Pluto, and that does mean that some sort of transformation or dealing with something that might feel like it's out of your control, but you kind of have to get a handle on it, that's important. And that might mean doing something like interviewing for a new job or talking to your boss about your projects, pulling in some external help, you know, maybe a business coach or maybe somebody who is going to mentor you there in your vocation. So there's something here that says that you can really focus in some energy if you're willing to go for kind of the bigger win right now. This is not about playing it small. A sun square Pluto can be very powerful and empowering, but it means stepping up. Otherwise, you can kind of get rolled over in the energy and not feel like you're getting your fair share. Now, when it comes to traditional investments and money derived from a business, the sun is not making an aspect to Uranus and Saturn's there. And so this is more of a time of working maybe behind the scenes or working on the infrastructure and shoring that up. And then profits can come in later when these two planets line up. So right now you're making about the same as usual and you're putting in some effort to do so. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, it's a little better story. You know, not super better, but just a little bit better with the sun making a semi-square to Venus. Now, the house is good because you have Mercury conjunct Uranus in the house. And as I said, you have the sun moving towards that house. So all of that's great. And so you may want to pass on this particular energy about asking for a raise now or, looking for a new job or negotiating a new salary. So you may want to just wait a little bit because with the semi-square, it says that the road is a little bumpy. Now, it does mean still, though, that there is an aspect and you can make more money than usual, but there may be some strings attached. Now, that all said, with the Mercury-Uranus there, you might think of some innovative ways that even though there's some strings attached, that you would still come out not only good, but great. And so this is a time to do a lot of creative thinking, tap into the muse, in the universe, tap into that genius level ideas. And, and you do that through intention of saying, I want to have some ideas and then go to sleep. And when you wake up, write down what you're thinking. And you could find a way that brings you what you were looking for by spending less time, less energy, less effort, because you're coming up with an innovative way of doing it. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and by these we mean the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or that are highly leveraged, or are very time sensitive, like options, the sun is making that square to Pluto. And so this is some action that can happen to bring you more money than usual. Now, the Pluto is in the 7th house, which can mean that you need to connect with someone else to get the information that you need or to get the green light to go ahead. And of course, with all risky investments, do be cautious. Don't put all your nest egg into a risky investment. Do diversify. When we look at risky investments, it should only be money that you're willing to lose. Now, if it is a risky venture such as, you making your album or doing art and then building a website to sell your art, I think that those things over time don't feel as risky. But of course, initially it can, because you're putting your art out in the world, and what if people don't like it? And so, but that's just a matter of finding your audience, because, it's likely your audience is out there. And if you have been doing this and you can't find your audience, then consider what the audience is looking for and make some adjustments in what you're doing. So to make a long story short, you do have ability to make more money than usual in these types of investments. Okay, Leo, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of communication, making a square to Pluto in your house of daily routines and work. And so the goal here with the moon in that 3rd house is about communication. That is communication to others as well as self-talk, how you communicate with yourself. And so you are looking for maybe clearer ideas, or to maybe not be so hard on yourself, or good communication with others where they understand what you are talking about, and you can get your message across, whether that be through writing, teaching, marketing, or just one-on-one communications. Now, the distraction is Pluto in your house of health, well-being, and daily routines. And so this might be that there's something going on with your physical well-being that is causing you some distress, and then therefore messing up this communication, or it is something maybe with a coworker, or just that you're having trouble getting a good routine going. I mean, you've had Pluto now going through your house of routines for a very, very long time. And so this was supposed to transform your routines. But now that it's in the last year or so in this house for you, you have now this last period of time to make those changes to your routine if you haven't already. Make changes to how you take care of your physical body. Make changes to your work environment so that you don't have to work with people you don't like. But for this 2-week period, what we're dealing with is something that's in the immediate around one of these areas so that you can go back to working on good communication with yourself and others. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the sun's making a semi-sextile to Jupiter. Now, it's interesting because the sun is really elevated in your chart, which makes you very, very noticeable. It really increases your charisma, and so people find you attractive. And Jupiter is going through your house of intimacy, and so there's quite a possibility of attracting someone who wants to be intimate with you, but this may not work out to be a long-term relationship because it's only a semi-sextile, so there's going to be some things about the person that you find a little irritating. On the other hand, the irritation just could be in the method that is available to meet this person. In other words, they can only meet you at night, or they can only meet you on a Saturday morning and you have to take your kids to soccer or something like that. So, or just the whole process of meeting somebody pulls you outside your comfort zone just enough that you tend not to do it. So the aspect is there. You can meet someone, but there are some limitations, and so you could wait until this energy lines up better. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the sun is not making an aspect to Uranus, and so we have a little bit of a disconnect between the two of you. And maybe that is that you're going in different directions, or you're just coming together for intimacy because your house of intimacy is amazing. But perhaps maybe, there's arguments, and then the makeup fun is really good, that sort of thing. Or that you're just very busy. Maybe you're even in 2 different cities and all the intimacy that's happening is just by phone or Zoom. And so, but right now the energy is not lining up that well. It will line up in the future. And so you may just want to wait this energy out. Now, when it comes to home and family, the sun is making a square to Pluto, and that is pretty intense energy. So something is definitely going on at home where it might be that you are doing some construction, redecorating, maybe you're moving, maybe somebody's moving in or moving out, or it's possible that there's something for you with the family itself, and that is maybe there's some sort of disagreement that needs to be settled, or somebody's asking you to pick sides. And so a lot of action is needed regarding home and family this time. When it comes to your money, now you have some luck because Mercury is elevated in your chart and it's making a conjunction to Uranus in your house of career. So this means first, making money from your talents and abilities, especially in connection with your vocation, is very good. But the fact that it's making a conjunction to Uranus gives you ideas to make money that you hadn't thought of before. New things either to you or maybe new in your area, things you hadn't thought of before. You might be stumbling into new ideas or inventing something yourself. You might be getting a new job, or within your current company, getting new projects that are higher visibility. So this energy is quite good for bringing in new sources of money. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your own business, you have a fantastic house because it's Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Neptune. So that is chock full of opportunities. Plus, Mercury is making a semi-square to Neptune. So this says it's going to be a little bumpy, and it means that every little irritation, like everything has 3 extra pages of paperwork. Every person you try to reach out and contact, you have to call them 3 times and all that. But if you do that, you have some really major rewards that you can make this time. So by doing this harder stuff and accepting these irritations and just going with the flow, you can make more money than usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, Mercury is in that house of career, which is fabulous, but also it is conjunct that Uranus. almost forgot. So it's conjunct Uranus, which means that you have an opportunity to explain to your boss, your supervisor, why they should be giving you this more money. And it's because you're coming up with innovative ideas to save time, to save the company money, or to increase the company's revenue. You're basically making this big contribution. It is also possible, again, that you're getting a new job because there's so much new energy here, and that is that you're negotiating for a higher salary. And so you might want to take that extra risk and say, push a little bit. And you can always come back if you push too hard. And so this is that it's likely you could make more money from your job over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and we define those as things that are highly leveraged or time sensitive or take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, Mercury is making this semi-square to Jupiter. And that means that it's a bumpy road. And it's interesting because, we were talking about paperwork and communication. So that's what this could be, that maybe there's a legal contract you have to deal with, or you have to read the prospectus, or you're doing the due diligence. And so you're trying to figure out whether the company you want to buy is doing well because, they've given you these books, but it looks like a squirrel wrote their bookkeeping, so there's something that is irritating, but if you can just lean in, you do have an opportunity here to make more money than usual. Okay, Virgo, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of money. It's making the square to Pluto in your house of children, creativity, and fun. And so here you are wanting to have a stable financial life, a really solid financial foundation, maybe stick to a budget, get money into savings and investments. But along comes Pluto with the square. That might mean that your kids need a loan, or you have a desire to help them out so that they can go into the world without a lot of debt. Or maybe you have a creative project that needs some sort of, materials, or needs promotion, or you need advice and you have to pay for that. Perhaps this is just that you feel like you want to have some fun and you're tired of trying to be on a budget and being frugal all the time. And so this is where the challenge is, and you have to deal with that part first. You have to deal with the Pluto energy of how you can discuss with your kids, maybe that you give them less than you were thinking of, or maybe there's some way you can help them get more money themselves so that you don't have to give your money. And when it comes to your creative project, where else can you ask friends and family to chip in to give you some of the resources that you need to get this project off the ground? And when it comes to the fun, maybe it is about transforming how you see fun. Maybe it's not a vacation at a luxury resort. Maybe it's car camping and how you could make that fun, or even doing something in your local neighborhood and finding the joy of where you live. Now, when it comes to relationships, and specifically new love, Mercury's not making an aspect with Saturn. On the other hand, you have an extraordinary house of relationships. So it's possible that meeting somebody brand new is difficult, but there could be somebody that you have dated before in the past, or maybe you knew them in high school, or you had some sort of connection with them before, and now they're coming in and becoming a quote-unquote new love. And so this is the energy of kind of thinking outside the box, rather than just going online and swiping right or left or whichever it is. But instead, thinking back at people that you've met in the past, who are you interested in getting to know more, sending them a spiritual message if you can't send them a physical message, to see if you could get something going. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, as I hinted before, you have an extraordinary house with Mars, Venus, Neptune, and Jupiter in that house right now. So that means that you and your sweetheart can really come together and work out a lot of things. And I say work out things because Mercury is making a semi-square to Neptune. So that is, you need to smooth out some of the bumps, and you need to talk about what's been irritating you, and then let the other person talk about what's been irritating them, so that you can find some ways of solving these problems, because those little irritations can be difficult. And when later this year, when you don't have Venus and Mars there, it may be more difficult to work these things out. So it would be a good idea. In fact, you're even going to lose Jupiter for a period of time, and Jupiter bringing all that luck and protection, it'll step out of this house, and then you'll really want to have done this foundational work of, going through the things that are bothering you and what's bothering them, and really trying to become that united front. Now, when it comes to home and family, Mercury is making a semi-square with Jupiter, and this means that there is, again, some sort of friction going on, some sort of irritation that's happening, and action is needed to deal with it. And this might be that you're having to tell your kids that you can't buy them a house, or you can't pay off all their student loan debt, or that you can't co-sign on a loan for them. And yet you don't want this to be devastating, so you're going to work together to look for solutions. This can also mean that there is something going on dealing with home repairs, and that would be either related to Mercury, which is in Taurus, so that would be something that is more about structural, or maybe about the garden or something like that. And then Jupiter is in Pisces, so that's water. So this could be broken sprinklers, a leak somewhere in the house or outside, or some sort of plumbing issue. When it comes to your money, of course, the full moon is lighting up this house. So there's a lot of attention right now that you're paying to your money, and that basically you do better when you do that, when you pay attention to it. And that might mean watching your spending, looking at your investments, just going into all of your accounts and taking a look. Now, you're pulling money from that Venus in your house of relationships, so that might mean discussing money with your sweetheart, your partner, or going and finding someone to help you with your finances, like a licensed fiduciary or some sort of financial advisor. And so this is maybe getting some expertise, some expert help, or even finding an accountability partner with a friend if you're trying to maybe not spend so much. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn. However, the sun is still there. So it is lighting up some opportunities, but I think that most of the profits are going to come outside this 2-week period. So I think you're making about the same as usual. There's so much emphasis right now in your chart on accumulation, but I think more right now is accumulation of knowledge, as well as accumulation, tough word, accumulation of contacts, rather than the accumulation of money. This will all shift later, in a month or two, but right now, it might take a little bit longer than a month or two. But right now, look at the accumulation of more contacts, more customers, more connections, and that's going to bring you some major profits in the future. So when it comes to money derived from career, the moon is making a sesquiquadrate to Venus. So you are having an aspect, you do have an aspect, which means that the money that's out here can get into your account. However, this is a tough aspect. This is that you have to reach the boss, and you have to reach them at the right moment when they're in the best mood possible, like they just got engaged, or they just won a contest or something, and then you ask for the raise, and then they're more than happy to give it to you. There's a lot of ifs, and so this energy is going to line up better for you in the future. So unless you absolutely like you have your performance review and you do need to ask, or you are negotiating for a new salary, or a salary from a new job, then you're going to have to do it. And then you basically want to put in the effort, like do a little research about the person. Say, oh, I heard your kid did well in soccer, get them in a good mood, and then ask. You have to do a little extra effort to make this happen, but it's still an aspect, so you can. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or they're highly leveraged, or they are time sensitive, like options, Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn. And so the energy is really difficult right now. Now, it's not difficult for finding people to help you, for going over contracts or paperwork, looking at things like investigating, finding the truth about what's going on with a business or investment opportunity. This is a great time, as I said before, to accumulate contacts or accumulate knowledge. But you're making about the same as usual in this area for this time. Okay, Libra, this is your full moon, which means that this is the time of year where you want to be looking at projects you've been working on for the last few months and see what you can bring to fruition, because this is the height of the energy. And then over the next 6 months, you'll be kind of winding down in this energy. And so that means finishing up things, finding out what's working, what you want to get rid of, etc. Now, this full moon is making that square to Pluto in the 4th house. That's the house of home and family. So what we're seeing here is that you're in this process of learning to love and accept yourself, and maybe do some sort of radical forgiveness, or just radical acceptance of yourself to really move yourself forward. And the monster that's coming in from left field is your home and family. And so that means that that is the distraction, that is the obstacle. And so that is, as you start to take care of yourself, suddenly everybody else needs you. Or that as you're starting to take care of yourself, something is disrupted in the household itself. And so maybe somebody moving in or out, or that you're moving. And so that is something, of course, that you have to take care of first. You have to deal with the distractions, the obstacle, and then you can go back to taking care of yourself. So keep that in mind, and as you try to push back and say, but I do want to take care of myself, you still in some way either need to interact with the family member to either solve their problem or delegate whatever it is that they're needing to someone else, so that you can go back to doing what you were doing. Now, when it comes to relationships, especially new love, Venus is making a sextile to Uranus, so there is an opportunity for you. And that is, if you take the initiative, if you start the action, you could meet someone new. Now, you still have the sun going through your house of relationships, and you've got a couple of planets in your house of intimacy, but most of your planets are down in that area of work. And so maybe work is a place to meet them, or where you go to work out. But also, because you have some planets up above the horizon, you still can be seen, and that means going out on online dating or doing some sort of mixers in real life. Now, when it comes to your existing relationship, Venus is not making an aspect with Mars. And so this may tie itself into what's going on for you at home, but there's kind of a disconnect going on between you and your partner right now. And it might be that they're just really busy. As I said, you have a full house of work. It may be, though, that you're trying to work together on something and you're not seeing eye to eye. And it's going to take a lot of extra thought and care to get you two on the same page. So you may be better off working on different projects, or trying not to chase each other down to figure out what's going on right now, but wait until outside this 2-week period. When it comes to home and family, we already talked about that quite a bit, but it is still that lack of aspect between Venus and Saturn. I was going to say there's an aspect, but there is no aspect. And that means that it is really hard to get people together to work towards a common goal, because everybody is just scattered to the winds. They're just doing whatever they want to do. And that's something that you were trying to do yourself, which you are supposed to be doing, which is looking within and finding what you need and taking care of you. But it's going to be difficult to get others to take care of you this time, because they are so involved in their own things. And so if you're trying to gather people in the family together, you may find a lot of disagreements. So it would be better to just wait until this aspect, till this energy lines up better, which it will very soon. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money both from that Pluto in your house of home and family, which means there are opportunities still for you in the area of real estate, home construction, home care, even working at home, but also from that Mars, which has now entered your house of work. And so there is a new job opportunity, or you can get more hours, or you can add in a side business. So you have quite a few work opportunities. These are both below the horizon for now, and that does mean that it's a little bit more working behind the scenes. It's not necessarily you launching something yet. But you still could be making money from it. And the interesting thing with the Mars, now that it's in your house of routines and daily processes, it could be really good for you to look at productivity apps, look at different like Kanban systems, like Trello, so you can move things from, working on it to completed. Also looking at other people's productivity videos, to see what you can do in the way of productivity hacks to streamline what you're doing. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Venus is making a semi-square to Pluto, and that means that even though it's a bit out of your comfort zone, it is a great opportunity for you to make more money than usual in these areas. Now, you also have Mercury conjunct Uranus, which on the plus side gives you a new information and new opportunities in investments and in business. So you may find yourself with a boatload of new thoughts and ideas that you want to try. Now, it also, though, that combination can have kind of a shiny object syndrome to it, and that means that you might be chasing after just something that's new because whatever you are working on is at the boring part or the harder part. And so make sure that you're not just chasing after every new thing during this 2-week period, but rather saying, is this something new that I need to consider, or is it something that's new that I'm going to consider outside this 2-week period? But overall, the energy is quite good, and I expect you to make more money over the next 2 weeks than usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, and this is like getting a paycheck, the sun is making a square to Pluto, and this means there's a lot of strong action around you making more money in your job. And with that full 6th house of Mars, Venus, Neptune, and Jupiter, you're probably working more hours and, getting more sales, interacting with more customers, etc. So you look quite busy, and so there's every reason to ask for more money. Or if you're hourly, you're just making more money because you are working so many more hours. It's also possible that you're in line for some sort of bonus or extra income that might be more one-time, intermittent, rather than something that's regular. But the square does say that if you ask and pursue this, and you may feel really compelled to pursue it because of the square, that you could get a very positive response. It also is really good if you are job hunting. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or are highly leveraged or time sensitive, Pluto is not making an aspect with Uranus. However, Pluto is making an aspect with the co-ruler Saturn, and I have to check. So it's a semi-sextile. So, all right, so it's not the strongest of aspects. However, it is still an aspect, and we know we need the aspect to get the money that is out here in the world into our bank accounts. So the semi-sextile is a growth aspect, but it has an irritating factor to it. So it's like having to work a little bit on details and small, the paperwork stuff, to put everything properly in place, to look at the fees that you're paying to see if those can be reduced, to maybe set something up on a more regular basis, or if this is a long-term project that you're working on, such as you're working on your Etsy shop, and so you're not making a lot of money on it right now, this says to put in the time and effort of, changing out your descriptions, making sure that your picture filters are optimized, making sure your keywords are in place. All of those little tiny things are what brings you a win in this area for this 2-week period. Okay, Scorpio, you guys are doing this full moon, lighting up your house of spirituality, intuition, your shadow self, and all of those hidden talents that you have. And this is getting the square from Pluto in your house of communication. And so this is that you are needing to work on, honing your intuition, really trusting yourself, really looking at your past and letting things go, connecting more with the universal consciousness through psychic ability, doing magic and feng shui and tarot and things like that that really help you connect to that universal consciousness or the Akashic field. And all of this is being interrupted by the distraction / obstacle of negative thinking, negative comments from others, and possibly the news cycle itself. And so this is that the information that you're collecting in and that you're pulling in from the outside world is interrupting your peaceful spiritual meditation, but also looking at what you're saying to yourself and making adjustments there. And that is going to help you get to the more intuitive place you want to be. So you may find it's necessary to turn off the news for a couple of weeks, to not hang out with negative people for a couple of weeks, if that's at all possible, but most importantly, not be saying negative things to yourself. And that's dealing with the obstacle right there. And then you can go back to what you want to be doing and what you should be doing, which is taking care of yourself. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, you have some really extraordinary energy going on because the house is full. It is Mars, Venus, Neptune, and Jupiter. That's a lot of planets. Additionally, Jupiter is still making that conjunction to Neptune. And so this is probably the best time. And it has been, I mean, even though 2 weeks before was a great time, but now it's actually even better because now Mars is in this house as well. So like, everything you need is there. And so if you're still not finding someone, you might consider that it's you that is holding this back, that you are the one that's saying that you're not ready. And so, and the solution for that is to just tell yourself that you are ready, to start to believe that you are ready and that you'll work out the rest of the things on the way. So ask your friends and family to fix you up on dates. Go out on online dating. You have such great opportunities this time. And, and of course, I do want to do a little caveat here. I'm looking at a very general chart. So you may have specific things in your chart that say that there is some external reasons why this is not happening. If you want to get a reading with me, there is a link in the description to my website, and that will show you the different types of readings. But in the meantime, because this is a general reading, it still does apply to you. So if you're looking for love, it's time to get out there and say to the universe you are available. Now, when it comes to your existing love relationship, Venus is making a semi-square to Pluto, and this is a rather challenging aspect. But you have the planet Mercury, communication, conjunct Uranus, which is innovative ideas happening in that house. And so you can have a breakthrough, even if you've been arguing or disagreeing about something, you may end up just laughing together. So I think that there is some opportunity. It's going to take a little bit of work. You can't just walk away from the situation, but, stay and try to communicate and to work things out. And you may find you have such a breakthrough that you going forward have a much better relationship. Now, when it comes to home and family, Pluto is not making an aspect with Uranus. However, Pluto is making an aspect with a co-ruler Saturn, and it's a semi-sextile. So we have a little bit of irritations going on. Saturn is actually in that house, and so there may be a little bit of disruptions where the family is coming together to, fix something or move something around. Maybe somebody is moving back in, and so you need to shift things around. Maybe somebody's moving out, and so you need to shift things around. So This is a slightly irritating aspect. So like something maybe that you fixed before doesn't seem to be working, although that's more of a retrograde thing. So let's scratch that. So this could be something new that's, you thought should be working, but now is not. But it's still a growth aspect too if you work at it. So you do show some energy that is moving towards the positive, but you have this little bumpy road at the moment. When it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Jupiter, which is still conjunct the Neptune and has this approach of Venus and Mars that is coming, and we'll be talking about that in probably the next video or the next video after that. So 2 weeks to a month. But Jupiter is in your house of risk-taking as well as adventure, creativity, and having fun. And these are actually the sources of money for you. And that is for you to start thinking about what is more fun to do right now. What do you enjoy doing? And then once you center on that or fixate on that, then say to yourself, and how can I make money doing that? Because these days there's so many different ways of making money through hobbies and interests that it's quite possible to find ways to make money, even if it's something that in the past traditionally did not bring money. And so using the aspect that you still have here with Jupiter conjunct Neptune to do a lot of brainstorming, visualization, goal boards, and things like that, make lists of different things that you can do in the future. This is going to trigger the universe to start sending you opportunities. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or income from your business, Jupiter is making a semi-square to Mercury, and so we have a little bit of a challenging aspect, but we're very happy to have an aspect, because when we have an aspect, it means that the money that is out here can get into your bank account. But it says you have to do some work, and it's work that is either a little bit outside your comfort zone or you find it irritating to do. And so look at the harder things about your business that you need to work on, or the stuff about investments. Maybe it is studying the prospectus, or maybe it is talking to your broker about your fee schedules. Maybe it's actually diversifying your portfolio more, because we're in a tiger year right now, and tiger years can be quite volatile. And so and then there'll be periods where nothing's happening whatsoever, and that we'll get into a little trading range. That's when the tiger is napping. But you have an aspect, and so by leaning in a little bit, you can make more money over the next 2 weeks than usual. When it comes to money derived from career, of course, it's the same story for you, Scorpio rising. You get the same planets in play for both your money houses. But the only difference is that we can talk about here is that the sun is in your house of work still, and that's lighting up what you're doing. So you're more able to tell your boss, this is what I've been working on, and you can be seen. But that same semi-square between Jupiter and Mercury still applies, which means that you have to go in maybe to do the paperwork types of things, or work with people who are not as fun, or actually look for a job. Maybe you don't enjoy looking for a job. But you can have some real success, especially by reaching out to people you used to work with who've moved on to other companies, because Mercury is now going through your house of relationships. And then finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, that would be like writing your screenplay. It's a lot of upfront work that is all done on spec, or things that are highly leveraged. And so that is borrowing money to buy stocks, even a traditional stock. If you're borrowing money for that, that is considered risky. Or things that are very time sensitive, that would be options, or and then anything that's super speculative, that would be altcoins, something derivatives of some sort. And I'm doing this big preamble for you guys, which I didn't do for the other signs, because you do have a really good house of risky investments right now. But I just want you to be so cautious, because risky investments are a long shot, and I don't have your particular chart in front of me. So you have Mars, Venus, Neptune and Jupiter going through your house of risky investments. That's a lot. And there is still a conjunction between the ruler of your house of money and the ruler of your house of risky investments. So we have opportunities for more money to come to you. So there is showing up as some real possibilities, but because it falls in risky investments, don't invest more than you can afford to lose, and make sure that you read all contracts and paperwork very, very carefully, and just, be extremely aware. One of the things that is always difficult for you is you get Pisces energy in this area all the time, which means sometimes it can be just painted so rosy that it is necessary for you to dig to find the truth. But if anybody can find the truth, it is Scorpio or Scorpio rising. So be aware that you're great at finding the truth, and so don't get caught up in the news and the hype, especially in this area. Okay, Sagittarius, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of friendships and community, and you are doing the square of Pluto in your house of money. And so what's happening is that there is possibly a real desire that you have to expand your circle of friends, get reacquainted with people that you may have lost touch with over the last couple of years, and to expand your presence in the community, maybe by going to groups, organizations, doing charitable things. And all of this is getting interrupted by this obstacle / distraction of needing to make money. And so this, of course, you must deal with the obstacle as it comes up, and that might mean working extra hours or looking at your books or moving money from one account to another. And once that is done, then you can get back to seeing friends and connecting with people, even if it feels like it's out of balance and so much time and energy is spent on making the money and only a little bit is on the friendships. It's still going to help, because this, if you can pay attention to that full moon, that's great. But as I said, if there is the monster of, hey, you have to pay attention to money coming out at you, then yes, you have to deal with that in the immediate. When it comes to a love relationship, specifically new love, Jupiter is making a semi-sextile to Mars, and that, at least it's an aspect. Okay, we'll start there. It's a slightly irritating aspect that can produce growth if you are willing to lean in a little bit. Now, this means that there may be something about the whole dating process that you don't want to do, some part of it that irritates you, or it may be that the person wanting to connect with you isn't exactly your ideal person in mind, that you had in mind, but this is something where if you take a chance, you could be very pleasantly surprised. When it comes to your existing love relationship, Mercury is making a semi-square to Jupiter, and this is an aspect where you do have to work at something. Now, it's interesting because you have a lot of energy going through home and family right now, or the area of home and family. And that means that there is something possibly going on. Maybe you're moving in together. Maybe the whole family is moving. Maybe there are renovations going on in the house. We'll get to specifically home and family in a second, but it could be filtering into causing some disturbance in your love relationship. Oh, and you know what? Maybe you're taking your sweetheart home to meet the family. That could do it. And so if you focus on doing this, like working things out, taking it step by step, not rushing through it, but going slowly and dealing with each obstacle as it comes up, you can get some very good results, a stronger love connection between the two of you, happier things going on at home, but it does take a little bit of effort this time. Now, when it does come to home and family specifically, you have a great house with Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune in that house. Plus, Jupiter is still made in conjunction to Neptune. So once you're at home, everybody seems to be coming together, more that you're psychically linked. And so there's more of an understanding. It's almost like your teenagers are magically doing chores and things like that. Unfortunately, it's only going to last for 2 weeks. But, And, when you call for help, you do get some help. The workmen show up, the landlord calls you back, like things are coming together at home in a much better way over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Saturn that just finished up a square to the North Node, South Node. I think we talked about that 2 weeks ago. And so you may have just recently made a big decision about where you're going to be getting your money. That means like a job or multiple jobs, or maybe your own business, or how you're handling money. And that could mean that you're paying more attention to your money, or that you are deciding to take some of your money and put it in the hands of a money manager, or maybe you got an accountant. So this is right now you are mostly dealing with the after effects of the decisions you've made over the last month or two, and that means that as the dust settles, you will then start to analyze whether the decisions you made were good ones or if they still need some adjustments. Right now, the Saturn's not making the aspects to make those adjustments now, so this is mostly kind of a dust settling to see if the changes you made recently are going to pay off. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your own business, the moon's making a trine to Saturn. So you have some big opportunities to make more money over the next 2 weeks. So this could be a direct connection to the changes that you made in how you're handling money. Maybe you are seeing that you are able to save money. You found cheaper vendors. You found that you were paying for extra apps you didn't need or extra subscriptions. So what you're doing with your money seems to be working in this area. On the other hand, when it comes to money derived from career, like a paycheck, Venus is not making an aspect to Saturn. And so there is not a connection between what you could potentially get from your job and your own bank account, which means that you could potentially, I just said potentially multiple times, you could actually ask for a raise, but it wouldn't come in this 2 week period, and it may actually come several months out. So you may want to wait till this energy lines up better, which it will pretty soon. So, or you may get so much pushback where they start to tell you that they're restructuring because your career is ruled by that Mercury, which is conjunct Uranus. They could say that they are changing the whole office situation and they can't do something now. So for the most part, I think that you're better off just leaving this area alone for now, and unless it is that you're looking for a new job, which the prospects do look quite good because there's some, your house of work shows a lot of new energy. But in general, asking for a raise this time is not going to bring you the results you want. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or are highly leveraged, or are time sensitive, like options, Mars is not making an aspect with Saturn, and the Sun is about to leave this house. And so this is going to put you in a place for the moment where it's just kind of a watch how things are going. And that is maybe reviewing contracts, maybe learning more about the basics of what it is that you're invested in or thinking of investing in. Or if it is some long-term on-spec process that you're doing, such as writing a novel, then you just want to keep writing on your novel. But it's not so good right now to be maybe pursuing an agent or a publisher, but wait until this energy lines up. Okay, Capricorn, you guys are doing this full moon, lighting up your house of career and reputation, and Pluto is making a square in your own sign of Capricorn from your first house. And so this is that you're wanting to work on your career and wanting to move up, and maybe you see an opportunity that you're going for, or you're building a business, and out of left field comes the distraction or obstacle of you feeling a lack of confidence, you feeling like you don't have the ability to reach the people that you want, or you're feeling like other people are not going to believe in you. And so this is the thing that you have to deal with first. And so, it's tough with a lack of confidence because it's all kind of centered within you. And so one of the best ways to bring yourself into a more confident place is to go back into your own history and find examples of when when you were confident, or reasons why you should be confident because of your achievements in the past. And when you do that, you make this list of these things, you use those as an affirmation. So it's not that you're affirming something that has never happened, but you are affirming something that has happened that you are applying to new circumstances. And then once you have worked on that, and every time, your feelings of maybe a lack of confidence comes up, to go back through over those lists. But once you work on that, then you can turn your attention back to career opportunities, or to expand your tribe, your followers, anything dealing with your reputation. Now, when it comes to relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a sextile to Uranus, plus Mercury is conjuncting Uranus in that house. And so meeting somebody new right now is really good. There are some major opportunities. Now, the interesting thing is this person might be very new, and that is like someone you have never dated before, ever, maybe a different type entirely. So that can be quite exciting. I think that you could find that you really kind of have some sparks going on. You have a great house of communication this time too. So, you can talk together, and you might find that you really mesh. So this, if you're looking for new love, this is a really good idea to pursue this now, especially too, also because the moon is elevated, and so you're easier to see out in the world. Now, when it comes to your existing love relationship, the energy is also good because it's moon trine Saturn. And as we said before, you have a great house of communication. So if there were things that were going on, you have a way to talk those out right now. But you also, you've got this energy of the sun being in your home area of home and family. And so it feels like relationships for you, or I should say your partnership with your love relationship has this potential to go really well this time. And then you can get past some of the difficulties you've been having recently. Now, when it does come to home and family, now we have a little bit of a disconnect because Mars is not making an aspect to Saturn. So you have a lot of energy still around siblings and younger relatives because of that third house having Mars, Venus, Neptune, and Jupiter in it. So there might be something going on there. The sun is still in this house. You have a little bit of time left where you've got the sun shining a spotlight on things, but there seems to be a disconnect in that maybe you can't get together because of your schedules. Maybe you're not seeing eye to eye on everything, and you're just agreeing to, kind of walk away from the situation at the moment, which is probably the best thing to do. There is a lot of movement around this energy because of such a full third house, and so there might be some plans for making some changes in the near future, either to the home itself or who's living there or where you're living. But even that, it still feels like it's still in the planning stages. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Uranus as well as the Saturn in your house of money. So the Uranus is very much active right now because Mercury's making a conjunction, which means you may be having more ideas about money-making ventures than ever before. And so you want to be writing these down because these may not be things that you can activate during this 2-week period. So you also may be looking at handling your money in a very different way. You may get some information, maybe from a YouTube video or a friend, about a different way of keeping track of money or investing money or making money in general. Maybe it's just shift of attitudes around money. And then, of course, Saturn is still in your house of money. That's that slow growth wealth aspect that I've talked about many times. And that is by putting a small amount away every time and saving money wherever you can build a very strong and stable financial foundation. Now, when it comes to your traditional investments or income from your business, the sun is not making an aspect to Uranus this time. Now, this is after a long period of having aspects, so we're in a little cooling off period. It's kind of like a lull in the waves, and so those waves will come back again. But right now, this is more about working on the business rather than collecting profits. And it's the same thing with your investments. This is more of a holding period where you're just observing, keeping an eye on things, rather than being a very active trader at this time. Now, when it comes to your money derived from career, which is like a paycheck, even though Pluto is not making an aspect to Uranus, it is making an aspect to your co-ruler Saturn, and that does mean that you do have an opportunity. Now, the aspect's just a semi-sextile, which is a slightly irritating, less than satisfying aspect. So, in other words, you may ask for a raise and get a very small one instead, or instead of getting a raise, you get a one-time bonus. And that's, that's still money. It still shows the potential of making more money than usual. However, it may not be as satisfying as you want. And so if you have a big ask to do, you might want to do it outside this 2-week period when this aspect lines up better. For you, it does take a while for you to get this to line up because we are waiting for Pluto or Mars to move. Pluto, of course, hardly ever moves, but Mars will be lining up better in the future. So you can wait for this, but it's also okay to ask and ask for something big, and you're going to get something that's smaller, but it's still, it's more than not asking. On the other hand, when we look at risky investments, and we define risky investments as something that takes a lot of time, energy, or money to do, that would be like buying a franchise or writing a novel and having it published, or anything that is speculative, highly leveraged, or time sensitive, like options trading. Venus is making a sextile to Uranus, so there is an opportunity here. I also like the fact that where was I? I like the fact that Mercury is going to conjunct Uranus. I was just thinking that I didn't say the aspect correctly. It's Venus sextile Uranus. Maybe I did. That's the aspect. It's lovely. A sextile is great. And I love this conjunction. It does mean that there's really some positive activity in this area for you. So there's a potential of making more money than usual. I do want to give my usual disclaimer. All right, I'm not a financial planner, so be very careful with your risky investments. Don't invest more than you can lose, than you can afford to lose, and be cautious about reading the paperwork, etc. Really understand what you're investing in. If, on the other hand, you are doing something that is the tons of work ahead of time, like producing your album where it's all on spec, this is potentially a good time to launch. And because you're doing that sextile, I would have loved a trine, that would have been great, or a conjunction, which will come up later this year. But if you've been saying you want to launch, this sextile could bring you some big opportunities. Okay, Aquarius, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of philosophy, beliefs, adventure, travel, knowledge, education, and it's getting the square from Pluto in your hidden house. That is your house of your shadow self, also your intuition, as well as spirituality. So, and I should also add escapism. So, this is the place where if the world gets too overwhelming, we can escape into watching too many YouTube videos, or, because I'm certainly guilty of that, or doing some other escapist activities. So the focus for you over this next 2 weeks is that you want some adventure. You want to change up something in your life. You want to follow your beliefs, to live in integrity, and maybe that is to travel more, or to pursue more education, or to meet, a diverse group of people and connect. And the monster that's coming out of the closet here, this distraction or obstacle, is that distractions are really tempting right now. And that is that it's so easy for you to get caught up in just playing video games, or like eating, or doing like too much sleeping, or maybe this is not enough sleeping, and so you don't have the energy to pursue the adventures that you want, or this is just some underlying worries that you have that aren't really even your worries, that you're just picking them up psychically. And so the obstacle has to be dealt with. You're on the hero's journey here, and that means that the hero is going towards the adventure. But if somebody pops up and says, you have to deal with that. And so that is to either deal psychically with it in the sense of if you're picking up a lot of energy that's not yours, you have to set up some boundaries. You may have to smudge the house or clear the house in some way. If you're falling into the trap of doing too many escapism things, maybe you have to put some limits on that, put some limits on your phone use or how much time you're watching TV, etc. So deal with that and then get back to the adventure. Now, when it comes to relationships, specifically love relationships, you have a really interesting opportunity this time because Uranus is making a conjunction with Mercury. And this means that somebody can pop up who is completely different than you were expecting and just light up your world. That can be that you meet them in an unusual place, or there's something about them that is so different, like a person you've never dated before, or you're using a different method of meeting the person. Maybe you've always done online and now you're going to do some, real life dating opportunities, scenarios, or you're letting somebody fix you up and you've never done that before. Maybe don't do blind dates and now you're going to do one. So you have a great opportunity, and so I hope you take it. Now, when it comes to existing relationships, the sun is not making an aspect to Uranus, and this is the first time in a while that we haven't had this connection. And so you two may have, you might have gotten much closer over the last few months, and now you seem to be a little bit disconnected again. This could be because you're very busy and you're going different directions, or it could be just kind of a lull in the relationship, and you should allow, each other to go and explore, whatever they're doing, the job, taking care of the kids, etc. And then when this aspect lines up again, and it will, then you will come together again to share. So right now there's a little bit of a disconnect in the energy. When it comes to home and family, Venus is making a sextile to Uranus, plus Mercury is conjunct Uranus in that house. So we have a lot of activity and possibly changeable activity going on at home. But overall, it has this air of being pleasant and happy. So it could be that somebody's moving in or somebody's moving out, but it's a good thing. Or maybe that you're moving, but you've found a great place and you can't wait to get there. So there is some change going on at home, maybe construction things, but the work people are showing up. Things are happening, but it looks like it's a very good thing. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Neptune and the co-ruler Jupiter, which are both in your money house, plus Mars is in your money house and Venus is in your money house. Like, your house is chock full. That means many, many, many opportunities. And so you don't want to hesitate during this time, because this is a rare time for you where everything is lining up. Now, it's not just in this 2-week period. This is going to extend beyond the 2-week period, but this is a great time to get started in brainstorming new ideas to make money, starting new ventures, side businesses, looking for a new job. Anything that's going to bring you more money right now, you want to think about it, even to the point of selling off some of the stuff you have in the house. You're going to get a better price than you would have in the past, or that you may in the longer term future. Again, you're going to be doing a very strong money house for a while. When it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Mercury is making a semi-square to Neptune. So there is a need to do some of the harder things, the things you don't really enjoy, and those are the things that are going to bring you the most money. So that might be pursuing people who owe you money, doing government-related paperwork, or things to get registered or licensed, or like official stuff, or doing the back office of your website, that sort of stuff. Doing that stuff, though, really makes a difference. And so this might mean that you're sitting down and really honing your message, or updating your autoresponders, basic stuff like that, looking at your investments, diversifying your portfolio. All of the hard stuff is what brings you money. When it comes to money derived from career, and this is like a paycheck, Jupiter is still conjunct that Neptune, and so you are still in that place of being able to ask for a raise and receive some very positive news. Now, this energy is dissipating, so if you haven't done this already and you've been doing this energy now for a month or two, you really want to step it up, because this energy is going to separate for a little while, and then it will come back together, but not exactly, but it'll come back together and then it'll separate again, and that is throughout the year. So if you've been thinking about asking for a raise, it's really time to do it. This is also a good time to negotiate if you are looking for a job, to say, like, I'll take the job, but I want more money. So negotiate the salary. You don't have to accept exactly what they're asking or trying to give you. That was a little confusing sentence. Sorry about that. And then finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, like writing your novel or building your Etsy shop or building your YouTube channel, or things that are very speculative, highly leveraged, or are very time sensitive, like options trading. Mercury is making a semi-square to Neptune. So you do have an aspect, which means that the money that's out here can get into your account. That is what we're looking for. So there is some things that to know about a semi-square, which is that it's not the easiest of aspects. So it's definitely something outside of your comfort zone. You're going to have to sit down and work things out. Maybe that's computationally, maybe that is to negotiate for something. You may have to just dig into the weeds to figure out how this investment really works before you get in. And I do want to give you the usual disclaimer. I'm not a financial planner. Please check with your financial planner before you do some serious investing in something that's large or, inherently risky. But also, don't invest more than you can afford to lose in this category. I mean, it's called risky for a reason, and that is because it can really fluctuate, or it can be a very long wait before it pays off. So, but you are doing an aspect. That's good. It's just not the easiest of aspects, so keep that in mind. Okay, Pisces, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of resources from others as well as intimacy. It's making a square to Pluto in your house of friendships and community as well as technology. So how do we see this? The moon here is what you're wanting to do or needing to do, and that is to connect on a more intimate level with your partner, as well as looking at resources from others, and that might be everything from gaining a loan to finding someone to help you, network or printer. And so it's like, what kind of help can you get out there in the world, and who in the world can you trust and really trust in an intimate setting? And then the monster that's coming out of left field, that distraction / obstacle, is connected to friends, community, and technology. So from a technology standpoint, it can just be that your computer is going on the fritz, so you can't look at your investments. Or that the different things that you're doing with gaining resources is tied to technology, and so therefore you are feeling like it's outside of your purview, that you are having trouble figuring it out. But when it comes to intimacy, it may be connected to friends who are pulling you in different directions, or maybe you want to be closer to a friend, but you're already in a relationship, or they're already in a relationship. And so there are some obstacles, and you need to deal with those obstacles first, so you're heading towards your goal, and that is to have this understanding that there are lots of resources there for you, and there is the opportunity for an intimate relationship if you want it, but you must deal with the monster that is charging at you, and that is going to be dealing with friends or some obligations you have in the community and technology. And so once you connect those dots, you can get past that obstacle and get on to your goal. Now, when it comes to love relationships, especially new love, Mars is making a trine to the moon, so you do have a great opportunity this time. Plus, Mars is in your own sign, Venus is in your own sign, you'll have a full first house, so you are showing off to the world in a really good light. And so that means people can find you, that they want to meet you, they are drawn to you, you have charisma, you are magnetic right now. And that's all wonderful for finding a new relationship. So if that's what you're looking for, especially an intimate relationship, you want to move forward on that. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, this is a semi-square between Mercury and Neptune. Not the easiest of aspects, but it's still an aspect. So if you can just get past a little rough patch, you will find that things get much, much better. And so maybe you have an ongoing argument and you need to talk it through. Maybe they're asking you to do something and you haven't wanted to do it, or you're not doing it their way. And so that's going to take some negotiation. But by connecting together and really working on this together, you can have a much stronger relationship over this next 2-week period. Now, when it comes to home and family, Mercury is making a semi-square to Neptune. And so, again, there is some sort of effort or work you have to do. Now, the interesting thing is that Mercury is traveling now through your house of neighbors. And so this could be something going on not within your house, but with the surrounding, people. And that is maybe neighbors are moving in and out and there's some noise that you have to deal with. Maybe you're needing to meet those new neighbors so you can establish a good rapport right off the bat. Perhaps there is something going on with property lines, or everybody's doing their gardening at once and nobody knows where to mow, or things like that. So there could be some things going on with that. This is also your area of siblings, and so there may be some activity in that area where you're connecting. Now, it is a semi-square, so it is an aspect. You just have to get past the hard stuff and then things get better. So expect some friction, expect yourself to be a little outside your comfort zone, but if you will lean in, things could go well. Now, when it comes to money, you're pulling money from that Mars now in Pisces, right in your first house of confidence. So you are now the source of money. And so this means that if you will say to yourself, all right, I can do this, I can go find money sources, the universe will put opportunity after opportunity in your path. So Mars will be going through your house of, your house of confidence, but through your sign for a little while. I think we will be talking about this for at least one more video, maybe 2 more videos. So you have quite a bit of time now for opportunities, but it's all focused on your confidence. And that is, if you're confident enough to pursue the opportunities the universe is sending you, then you can have this success. And so look at where you're holding yourself back and see what is of interest to you that the universe is presenting so that you can pursue it. Now, when we look at money from traditional investments or your own business, Venus is not making an aspect with Mars. So we're seeing more of a need to work on the business rather than the business paying you at the moment. And the same with your investments. It's possible that you need to just hold on, not make a lot of changes right now. Maybe there's some volatility in the market. Maybe there's no volatility and we're just in a trading range. And so you're just doing a wait and see. But right now, the energy is not lining up. So you're making about the same as usual. You have similar energy when it comes to money derived from career. This is the money like a paycheck. Mars is not making an aspect with Saturn. And so again, this is more about you finding money opportunities and getting those started rather than collecting on the things that already exist. And so when it comes to your job, right now, you're either in the beginning stages of finding a new job, like you're interviewing, you're not yet at that salary negotiation, or even if you are negotiating the salary, you're not getting that new salary yet. It could be the same with your current job. Maybe your performance review is coming up in a month or two, so it's outside of this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, or things that are highly speculative, highly leveraged, or things that are time sensitive like options, the moon is making a trine to Mars. So you actually do have an aspect. And that is that some of the longer term things that you've been waiting to do are now paying off. So this is, if you have been collecting together designs to launch your Etsy store, this is a great time to do it. If you've been thinking thinking about uploading your novel to Amazon or looking for someone to represent your screenplay, this is the time to be thinking about it. When it comes to other types of risky investments, of course, be cautious because they're risky investments, and this is a general reading. I don't have your specific chart in front of me, but this is good energy for making more than usual. So just make sure that because it's a risky investment, you're not investing more money than you can afford to lose. This is kind of like the lottery ticket, you know, when it pays off, it can pay off really big. And right now you are lining up for some positive energy. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and stay tuned because LaRue wants to say hi.